As a child, I was obsessed with color. I would stand in art supply stores, memorizing the name of every single shade I could find. I believed somehow that if I could get them all, I would be able to make sense of a rainbow. Every hue had a name, every name a meaning. What feels like an elusive iridescent phenomenon at the edge of the sky on a rainy day would somehow be more understandable, maybe attainable. Looking back, I now know what I was really trying to do: to contain something uncontainable, to make sense of the elusive, the far reaching, to impose order, to define. Some years later, as a young adventurer, I found myself in the empty quarter, the largest desert on earth. I was on the border of Saudi Arabia and the UAE. An older man named Khalid guided me for a few days across nothingness. No people, no sound, no distractions. The stars so bright that I imagined that the dinosaurs must have seen them the same way. At some point, Khalid asked me bluntly, "Why are you here? Alone? This is not a tourist place. What are you looking for?" "I don't know. I'm just wondering," I said. "One must wander with purpose," he said. "Do you know what your purpose is?" I know all too well that this is a question that's often asked by somebody who had already contemplated an answer. So I boomeranged the question right back at him, and I was like, "Well, what about you? Do you know?" Sure enough, he had written a 10-page manifesto on it. "To be purposeful to others," he said. So he went on to tell me stories of his family, namely the relationship with his son. Now, I don't know how many of you have slept in the desert before, especially one that is that big. The silence of the desert is a beautiful mirror for our mind, a grand place for a grand question to imprint itself. Do you know what your purpose is? I collect passport stamps like I collected names of color. I believe somehow that if I immersed myself across so many cultures, so many countries, I would be able to make sense of this world. Perhaps the elusive, far-reaching definition of belonging would become clear, understandable, maybe attainable. Still, the question lingers: what the hell is my purpose? Why am I here? If you read my LinkedIn, which, let's be honest, is everyone's worst brag fest, you would see a laundry list of eclectic achievements. I built the world's first live game cast for Major League Baseball before YouTube existed. I helped scale TED Talks from a blog of 500,000 views to a media platform of 2 billion. I helped bring English media from National Geographic Learning into China, expanded Patreon internationally, starting right here in Berlin. I co-chaired an impact fund for the 2020 US presidential election. To be purposeful to others seems fitting, doesn't it, with this resume? The through line across all of these is my work simply amplified others at grand scale. I collected these achievements like I collected names of color. I believe somehow that if I could truly amplify human potential, perhaps the elusive, nagging question of purpose would become clear, attainable through these achievements. Here's the turning point. It wasn't until I found myself staring blankly at a ceiling fan in a psychiatric ward of a hospital, hearing echoes of my own voice, major depressive disorder, suicidal tendencies, that I finally understood what was clear, what was attainable. It was not the career achievements, the passport stamps, or the 50 Shades of Blue I now remember. But it was also all of those things. That moment, a crescendo built from a lifelong precision of crafting self-worth through knowledge, learning, success, overachieving only to overachieve some more, to define, contain, impose order, as an escape from a grand backdrop of grief. Grief from suicides, abandonment, death. Grief from childhood trauma locked up in a box inside of more boxes. Grief from life as life happens. All of us have some form of this. Grief swept under the carpet because we must move on. We must go to work, we must look polished, land that KPI, meet investor target, create impact, add value. Then let's all celebrate that instead of looking inward to see an empty void, a crying child behind a successful adult. Grief turned into fear, fear transmuted into fuel, to run away and go do big things, to impose order, to define, to achieve. So when my dear friends and curator asked me to give this talk about my achievements, all I have to say is that I grew great through grief, and it was self-destructive. To achieve. You see, most overachievers don't realize that when we chase success, we're actually chasing safety. And success and safety, it's not the same thing. When we grow up grieving instability, when loss is not recognized, when joy is not mirrored, sadness dismissed, or anger made us too much, we come to understand that achievement is love, productivity is worth, and silence, that's safety. We don't learn to feel, we learn to perform. When the world sees us, they congratulate us. Capitalism loves us. Ego stroked. The reinforcement cycle goes on, all the while our deepest yearning safety is not nurtured. Now, if you're someone who can't rest without guilt, can't sit still without panic, or feel your self-worth dwindling down and trembling without an achievement in sight, pause. You cannot be purposeful to others if you cannot be at peace with yourself. There was this moment, I was sitting in my apartment on the 55th floor, looking out the window. I could jump off anytime. So easy. So easy. And then I thought, the only person who can save me from me is me. It takes 10,000 hours to turn yourself into someone you want to become. That is 417 days or 5 seasons. So how did I do this? This is a part of the talk where the speaker shares an answer. I don't have that. I only have my story. This is what I did. First, I reframe, forget success. What must be true for me to feel safe and seen? Well, to learn how to feel at all. Sit with the prompt, why do I not feel safe? Let as many whys as needed submerge me into the abyss. This abyss, mine will be different from yours, will be different from the person who sits next to you. But it all really tracks back to that grief that you swept away or that childhood stories that you tried to forget. Bring them back, sit with them, cry, scream, throw pillows, kick trees, whatever. Embodied therapy really helped me here. I did somatic, I did psychiatric assisted, I did movement, I did so many things. Many, many, many modalities can be supportive here. What's important is exhaust yourself and be brave, feel everything. Listen. Listen to the voices that says you're not good enough on repeat. You'll lose the ambition. You're being lazy. This is my favorite, especially if you're born poor from the street of Bangkok. You're going to run out of money. Write it all down. Do not game plan a solution, overachiever. We're not looking for answers. Remapping feelings. Listen until your own voice no longer judges you. And when you feel absolutely awful, go for a long run, ice surf, do exercise of your choice. That's actually it. There is nothing novel here. It's really about discipline, because it is discipline that creates momentum. 10,000 hours. A very big part of this exercise is also about removing the dependencies of the dopamine hits from externalities. The promotion, the accolades, the like, the influence, none of that exists here. This was the hardest thing I've ever done. The paradox of it all is that when I got there, when I arrived at a place, when I finally felt calm and safe, no one celebrates it. It's only for me. Today, I sit from a place of wholeness, which is always a daily practice. I still work on really interesting projects, big challenges, but no longer as an escape. It's actually coming from a place of wonder, and it feels very different. This is Khalid from the desert. It's been almost 15 years since finally I have a manifesto, better late than never. Khalid, I hope the internet does its magic because I can no longer find you. Thank you for the inspiration. As for the Purpose Manifesto, mine is written as a letter to my younger self, as a life lesson to look forward to. And it goes something like this. Dear baby Thaniya, a rainbow is most beautiful when it is a mystery. Belonging is not a place to find, but a feeling of being safe and seen. And purpose is not achievement. As you move through life, let wonder be the guide. Ambition rooted in wonder is far more powerful than one that's rooted in fear. Grow great through listening to others, to the voices inside of yourself. Be disciplined, absolutely. And also let go of trying to define it all. You will not find what you're looking for in the colors of the rainbow. You will find it in a desert. At some point, you will wander into the desert and find a wise man, and it will take great effort to find him. Listen to what he has to say. Listen with your heart. And only when you feel that you have truly lived that lesson, share it. With love and reverence, your future self. Thank you.